welcome to tonight's episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, and as always, I have a very special guest for you, entertainment journalist and correspondent Christina Freycinet. She'll be with us for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV
allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered.
Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. Like I said, I have a very special guest for you, Ms. Christina Freycinet, who's actually an entertainment correspondent and journalist. She'll be with us for the next 30 minutes sitting in this chair getting ready to do another great episode with us. So Christina, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
Well, it's great to have you here because it's a little bit special tonight because you as well are a journalist, a correspondent. So you're on the other side of the chair tonight. Instead of doing the interviews, you're getting interviewed. So let's kind of touch a little bit about that. How does that even feel for you?
It's a little bit different just because, of course, I am used to asking people questions. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm kind of used to being on camera, so exactly. I should be fine.
when I saw that you were lined up, I was like, you know what, this is going to be really, really nice. And sometimes it actually could be a little bit harder to actually switch those roles because you're so used. Like, I know for myself sometimes I get a little bit nervous when I'm being asked the questions because we're so used to just being in control.
Right.
And controlling that. And then, we have to take a step back and just, go with the flow.
Yes.
But let's talk a little bit about you. Who is Christina Freycinet?
Well, I'm from Stamford, Connecticut. I am a Haitian American. I am the youngest of four. I actually went to Eastern Connecticut State University, where I studied communication. So I kind of got started into journalism about 1.5 years ago, so I'm still pretty new. I call myself a self-taught journalist only because I feel like college didn't prepare me as much for the real world. I wish it did. But so how I got started was I actually reached out to a few people who I thought were interesting on Instagram, which I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but I just, I'm a newbie. So nobody answered me except for one person. Her name is Portia Hargrove. She's actually a publicist. She owns her own PR agency. It's called Portia Purpose Agency. So she reached out to me and said, hey, let's do an interview. So as I was interviewing her, she noticed that I was nervous. The questions I was asking wasn't really relevant to her. It was just a whole bunch of random things that I thought of that I thought would be interesting. So she asked me if I wanted to be an intern of hers. So of course I said yes. She works with a man named Leonard Young. He owns a company called National Black Guide, where it shines light on a lot of minorities in the entertainment business. So my locations were Los Angeles, Atlanta, and New York City.
Okay.
So what they did was they ended up setting up interviews for me. I interviewed these people over the phone, and my style of writing is Q&A. So I would, record the interview, listen to it, and then, of course, I would just write out the answers there. So that's pretty much how I got started. And then this year I actually transitioned to being an on-camera journalist, which I love. I think being on camera is a little bit better than just writing because, you're behind the scenes, which is nice, but I kind of want to get myself out there,
Absolutely.
So.
And it does make a lot of sense. I've written as well, and it's a different dynamic.
Yes.
When you're writing, you're putting stuff together, it's definitely a different dynamic. So what led you into entertainment? Because there's so many different styles of journalism. Why did you choose specifically entertainment?
I love entertainment, kind of just like everyone else. When I was younger, I wanted to either be like a dancer or a singer. I love dancing, but I didn't think I'd make it. And singing, I know I can't sing for my life. So that's kind of another reason why I ended up becoming a journalist, because I see myself being on TV. Entertainment, I feel like, whether it's music, sports, acting, I feel like it's something that kind of brings everyone together because everyone loves entertainment. You know, it's in the name.
Very true.
You know, such as the Super Bowl. You know, I feel like the Super Bowl brings families and friends together, even if it's not just for football. It can be just for the commercials or just for the food. You know, so that's the reason why I chose entertainment. You know, I feel like people in the entertainment business, they have some sort of talent. You know, and I think it's amazing how someone like, you know, J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar, they can capture everyone's attention, you know, because you have to be somewhat good or have some type of spunk to, you know, grab everyone's attention and have all these fans and all this money, you know. So that's pretty much the main reason why I chose entertainment. It's just interesting to me.
It really is. I have a love for it myself. Kind of what led me into it was from a young age when I would love watching, you know, some of my favorite music groups. I started getting interested in the behind the scenes part of, you know, labels and record labels and all those, and booking tours.
Right.
And I just fell in love with the industry from then. And then when you would watch, like, I'm dating myself, but TRL, Total Request Live, when you would watch TRL with like Carson Daly or any of these people hosting and being there with the artists, I always was like, oh my God, one day that would be so cool to actually be that person getting to do that, because it is very different from doing political and more heavy topics. And not saying that entertainment isn't heavy, especially nowadays. You know, I think it's changed so much because it went from entertainment where journalists had to fight to get a spot. Now celebrities are almost openly inviting you in, especially through social media. Like paparazzis, they don't even have a purpose anymore. I look at it as you don't have to sell a picture for 10 grand. The celebrities are going to post it themselves.
Yes, that's true. I definitely agree.
So it's a little bit different when you would do that. And so how has the internship been? It's been over a year now.
Right. It's been great. She actually got me into, last year was pretty fun because she got me into New York Fashion Week for the winter and for the fall, which was pretty amazing, and it was interesting just because I'm not too much into fashion, but the fashion shows she brought me to were amazing. I mean, there weren't any celebrities there or anything like that, but it was pretty fun. I was able to network with lots of people. I created new friendships with people as well. So it's been pretty nice.
Yeah, Fashion Week can be very, very interesting, and I would say definitely it's on the list of things to see or to cover at least once in your career.
Right.
Definitely Fashion Week, because just to see how the mixture and covering fashion within itself could be very intricate. You got to know the designers, you got to know the collections. There's a lot of work. So if you're actually doing a red carpet hosting, you got to be quick because those fashion shows don't even last long. Imagine
they sure don't.
They prep for all this in 6-7 minutes. Couple of turns, walk the runway, and it's over.
It's a lot of prepping. I mean, honestly, I could never be a model. It's a lot of stress because I was actually backstage with because she has lots of clients. She had a client who was a singer, not even a model, but she had to go backstage and get dressed, and it was just so chaotic.
Tell us about that backstage moment.
Well, it was interesting seeing, you know, all the men and women get dressed. It was pretty crowded and kind of uncomfortable, so that's another reason why I don't know if I really want to get into fashion, you know, in that aspect. There was actually, I wasn't back there at the time, but she told us there was a fist fight that actually broke out with the models. So it kind of delayed the show a little bit because I was trying to figure out why it started 30 to 40 minutes later than it was supposed to. So yeah, it was pretty interesting, but overall it was nice. It was nice to see, you know, the different types of models. It was very diverse, a little bit more diverse than what I see on TV, you know.
Absolutely,
So.
which they wouldn't show that on TV.
Of course not.
But that's a whole other topic. But we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. So, Christina, why don't you tell us what you've been enjoying the most about this journey? You know, it's a year and a half. It's almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen, dabbled in quite a few things.
Right.
What have you enjoyed the most so far?
I think building relationships. I think that's the best thing. You know, going to these events that I've been invited to, meeting different types of people. I actually met Angela Yee. She's a host on The Breakfast Club. She was pretty cool. I took a picture with her. I met Yandy as well from Love and Hip Hop. Another girl that I met, she stood out to me the most. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. Her name is Jazzy Bell. She's also, I believe she's a self-taught journalist, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want you guys to quote me. But she has a segment called Women in Hip Hop, where she interviews lots of different types of women, not just artists, but other women that are in the industry, which is a very interesting topic. Most of the women are minorities as well.
Oh, great.
So that's pretty much the best part for me, is just the interaction with different types of people, going to different events, you know, just seeing how everything is, you know, put together as well.
Absolutely. What has been, of course, you know, with ups, there's always downs. What are some of the challenges that you faced and observed firsthand?
So I'm very happy you asked me that. I'm actually struggling to get into certain events since I'm not a big name. You know, a lot of people don't want to invite me to, like, you know, pre-screenings. Like, I know Power just had one. I didn't really know about that one. However, I kind of struggle with it just because I don't know how to find out about these pre-screenings and these events. You know, I feel like there's like a blast email that goes out to certain journalists that get invited to these things just because, you know, they may work for BET or MTV. So that's like the biggest struggle for me. Another struggle would be promoting myself, trying to get myself out there. If I can't go to these events, then it's kind of hard for me, especially since, you know, I live in Connecticut. So it's not too bad of a commute, but I do work a 9 to 5, you know, so it can be pretty tough unless the event is on the weekend. You know, and I think it's very difficult to promote yourself and market yourself when you're new. Since I've only been doing this for a year and a half, it has been pretty tough for me. You know, I'm trying my best using social media, and I'm really happy we have that.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a second.
Definitely. So, yeah, I think those are like the most difficult things at the moment for me.
Social media, now that you brought it up, it actually plays a huge role in getting people out there, because you see people who have probably no background at all, and they get in front of their camera, they do their own YouTube channel, and once you could get views, that's all that it's about. But the important thing, where I see what you were talking about with one of your challenges, is getting content. Because you need good content, because that's what people come to see.
Yes.
And you have to have not just great content. What's going to separate you from everybody else? Why do I want to watch Christina Freycinet versus the 1,000 other entertainment journalists making their own segments out there?
Exactly. I agree. I mean, I feel like it's all about your personality. Not just your personality. It's all about how you know, certain questions you ask. It's how, you know, it's all about your delivery as well. A lot of people, you know, I think this is also a great question, is when somebody asks, you know, what are your goals? You know, if I were to ask, you know, J. Cole, you know, when is your next album coming out? Or when is your next song coming out? Those are great questions, but I always like to ask, you know, what do you want to be successful in? You know, what else is on your mind? You know, a lot of people would be like, oh, you know, I want to build a new house or have a family or something. You know, I feel like a lot of people don't ask questions like that. And I feel like that really makes someone stand out, is what you ask and how you ask it, of course. You don't want to offend anybody. But yeah.
But what's your take on journalists or hosts who try to dig a little deeper or may not always want to show the most positive light? You know, like Perez Hilton years ago, it got to the point people didn't want to be interviewed by him just because it was, you know, if you got behind that mic, he's going to ask some questions. He's going to stir the pot. He likes to stir the pot. And we as consumers love juicy material.
Right.
But sometimes you have to put yourself on the other end where, okay, yeah, we're asking these questions. It's going to be good for our content and our views, but do you want to be really known in the industry as that person?
Right. That's a huge risk